Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lilly's Sketchpad, brought to you by Force One Studios. I'll be your host, Tom Lilly. Today, what we're going to be talking about, or what I'm going to be working on, is I'm working on some illustrations of a big character called Rummy. He's going to be the first villain that Callan, when he takes over his temple, will go after. He's going to be think it's going to be a simple job, and it ends up actually being a lot harder than he thought. Anyway, but to get us kicked off here, what we're going to do is we're going to do a real quick segment on what I like to call books to back. These are all books that are going to be going campaigns that are on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, stuff that I found interesting that you probably would be interested in too. And as I said, if you like this stuff, you should follow these people on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. And also make sure you back their campaign. We have to keep this movement going, this indie movement going, where we I like to do what they call crowdfunding. It's a really awesome idea. I really back it 100%, and I think you would too. I think you would enjoy it as well. And not only that, but if the campaign goes correctly, as we all hope it does, you get something, nice little goodies and treats out of it as well. So anyway, what we're going to start off with first here on my little bad mammy jammy here. Bear with me real quick. I am kicking this up a notch. Here we go. Bam! There you go. Take a look at that, people. Okay, first we're going to start off with at the top of the list. I'd highly recommend him. Earthworm Jim, brought to you by Doug Tenaple. I follow him on YouTube. Very interesting fellow, very funny. Really into making the customer experience overall very enjoyable. Yeah, you may not always agree with all his politics, but for those of you who don't agree with his politics, I lean a little bit more conservative, so I understand where he's coming from, but I'm also not liked a whole lot by a few conservatives because they feel I'm a little too liberal. I am what every liberal and conservative hates. I'm a moderate. I believe there are shades of gray. So anyway, but that aside, this guy actually has a very good idea, and I mean, if any of you guys, a very good idea when it comes to crowdfunding. If any of you guys ever followed the video game Earthworm Jim, it's an amusing game. I think it's going to be an amusing book. You should follow it. Next up, we also have our Gunship Thunder Punch. Now, I am doing these in order, not of how much I like them, but in order of how much time is left on the book. Earthworm Jim only is a limited time. It came out first, so you want to check that out. Try to fund that. Also, you have Gunship Thunder Punch. Gunship Thunder Punch is brought to you by Brian Shear. Another inker for Marvel and DC Comics. Has worked on Transformers, stuff like that. You guarantee you're going to enjoy the work from everything I've seen of his work, both on YouTube, and also he does this thing on his webtoons. These cards, very good stuff. Really enjoyed. You guys should check him out. If you like it, share it. Also, please fund his books. Again, we got to keep this indie movement going. And next, we also have Elliot Fernandez, Jerkmonger. Yes, he is awesome. This guy, I've followed him for several years. He actually led me to Doug Tenaple and Brian Shear. He is an awesome fellow. He does a really good job at entertaining people. He has a show on Twitch. Follow him. He also does post videos on YouTube. He will be posting some videos, I believe, in the middle of June. Start doing some live stream on YouTube as well. Maybe, not sure. He's kind of sketchy on that. Kind of YouTube burned him a little bit, gave him a copyright strike when he didn't feel he really deserved it, and he's not getting any answers back. YouTube, you're messing up. Please fix the problem. And I know it's a problem because I'm also hearing this from my sons who follow YouTube channels all the time. It's being abused. You guys aren't checking into it. You're not doing your due diligence. And if somebody comes out with a better platform, you're going to suffer for it. Please check it out. Okay, so back to Ellie Fernandez Jerkmonger. His project is called Doom Kicker. Please check it out. If you like, follow. Also, please contribute to his campaign. He offers some great tier levels, and I guarantee you, all three of these gentlemen will provide you with the product. They're connected to Doug Tenaple until Doug Tenaple always comes out with his product. He always gives you guys a good investment. All right. So next we have something new was brought up, and I apologize. I don't have it on my thing on my thing here. It's called Monster MD. Monster MD. You guys should check this out. I'm not gonna lie. Matter of fact, let me see if I can do something real quick here. I might be able to provide you with a little. Let's see, we go in here. My history. Indiegogo. And I do apologize. Bear with me. From yesterday. Twitch Live. Oh, come on. I don't have Indiegogo on here. I don't have my keyboard over here, so. You know what? Give me one moment. I'm going to go get my keyboard. I'm back. I get my keyboard. I always swore I would never do this, never leave a video screen on you guys, but heck, this stuff is worth checking into, so I am telling you, look into it. Indiegogo. Enter. Indiegogo. There we go. Go. And we'll go under search. Explore Indiegogo. There we go. Alright. Alright, and I gotta pull up my OBS. Again, bear with me. I do have. There we go. There we go. Alright, so anyway, bear with me. I am not going to be in this screen, but it is the best way for me to show you what's going on. Alright. Boom. Boom. And I just want to make sure that, yep, there we go. There it is, the Indiegogo Monster MD. Check it out, okay? Looks like a very interesting story, very interesting artwork. I actually was very impressed with the artwork on this. I looked at some of the stuff. I mean, if you go through here, look at the quality of the artwork. The artwork is done by Marco McCanny. No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not very good at pronouncing names. McCanny or McCanny. Oop! I'm sitting there. My paper ended up on the tablet. I apologize about that. But yeah, McCanny. Marco McCanny is the name of the artist. MacCCagni. Can't read my own handwriting. I'm horrible. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Looks like very interesting artwork, very good artwork. The colors are done by Tanya Wicker and letters done by Eric Weathers. It's created and written by Von Klaus. It looks like a very good book. I highly recommend you guys go check it out. Looks like it's going to be a very good read. Next we have up is from the Kickstarter. There we go. Kickstarter campaign. Kickstarter campaign. Y'all gonna love this stuff. Kickstarter campaign. What we have here is Dynamic Hero Templates by Andy Smith. Okay, now I'm gonna switch this platform again to something a little bit different. Back here, we're gonna go to my. Wow, trying to do this from my computer. There we go. Nope, not the family stuff. There we go. Transition that. There. You see my Apple pad here. What I'm going to do here for you guys is check this out. I am going to pull up my Kickstarter on my phone. That way you guys can see it for yourself. There we go. Look at that. There we go. Hopefully it's not too blurry. Dynamic Hero Templates by the artist Andy Smith. Now the reason why I bring up the artist Andy Smith is because I've actually funded a campaign from him and they fulfilled it. He works with Ominous Press. It's a very good campaign. I highly recommend you follow him. You're definitely going to get your product. You're going to get your money's worth. It's connected to Bart Sears, another artist that I am a big fan of. Oh, I've loved Bart Sears' work all the way back in the 80s when he was working on Justice League Europe. I'm a big fan of his art. I actually have artwork of his in my art collection, and I highly recommend Andy Smith. He's a proven artist. He puts out a decent product, and it's proven in the past to actually provide on what he promises. So please fund him. He is at 41%. Let's make sure this man gets his project moving. Okay? Now back to fulfilling my work here. There we go. Again, you see me looking all over the place because I'm looking over my computer screen. I don't have the greatest of setups here for my artwork or for my office space, but it's what I have available. I live in a small house. It's a 3-bedroom house, 1.5 bath. It's not, it's got a reasonable living space, but I'm a family of 5 and I had to literally make my studio space in the what we call the dine-in part of the kitchen. Now people have this little dining section in the part of the kitchen where you set up a little breakfast table, a breakfast nook area. Well, that's where my art station is set up. So I have it up against the wall. Here's my art table. Over there, where my finger's pointing is my computer station, and I try to set this up as best as I can. As best as I can. I used to have a wonderful townhouse with a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, but I finished off the first half of the front half of the basement as my own studio space. But unfortunately, circumstances in life left me having to leave that home. I lived that down in Middletown, Delaware. Now I live up here in Pennsylvania in good old Delaware County in Norwood. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. What we're going to be working on today is a character called Rummy. His other name is Ephraim Clark. Give you a little bit of heads up about this character, what's going on, and I'm going to read this from my note cards because I have been working on these ideas for these characters, and what I like to do is I like to build the character, okay, especially if he's going to be a main part of a section of the book. The background characters, I give a little bit of this detail to, but I don't do a whole lot, but I need to build a psychology. I need to figure out why this character is going to do what he's going to do, why he is the way he is, what he's going to do. So I build a background for him. And essentially what this character is before he was a werewolf, he was a janitor at a prestigious medical university in London. He always wanted to be a surgeon, but he could not afford to attend the school. He was born with the name Rummy given to him by a barkeep who helped his mother during his childbirth. His mother was a prostitute and he never knew his father. His mother neglected him and abused him. If she couldn't make enough money selling herself, she would offer her son to men with a taste for boys. Not a very good mom and a horrible child ground, but I figure it was abusive enough to make him into what he is. And he is horrible. He's a murderer. Enjoys murdering. Loves murdering. And I'm not going to, because his story base, give you a hint, starts around 1888 in London. If y'all know your history and you know murderers, you might know where I'm going with this one. So anyway, Rummy killed his mother at the age of 13 and framed one of her clients for it. Ooh, how you like that? That's a good little thing. And he took to the streets and he joined a local street gang. Now, I haven't written this part down, but I got this idea in my head. Essentially, what's going to happen with him while he's in the street gang, he ends up in a street brawl, and then during that street brawl, he's going to get conked over the head because the idea of him working as a janitor, if he's a street brawler, he's a street gang, he's a murderer already at the age of 13. How's this kid end up as a janitor in a prestigious school? Well, that's because nobody knows what really knows about his background. Essentially, what's going to happen is he gets into a gang fight in the street. When he gets into that gang fight, he gets conked over the head. It conked over the head so hard that it actually jogs his memory and removes his memory. He ends up having amnesia. While in this having amnesia, he's helped and aided by one of the doctors who actually work at this university, this hospital, or a medical university. And when he comes to, doctor realizes he has amnesia. He can't remember a lick of who he is, and because he can't remember who he is, this doctor starts to feel bad for him and helps him out. And in helping him out, he makes him his medical assistant, helps him in his labs, helps him with his students, helps him with all his day-to-day activities around the university. Well, unfortunately, he is not liked by the superintendent, the man who's actually running the university. So as a result, the doctor keeps him around, but under protest of the superintendent. Now, what happens in this? It happens. The reason why he ends up becoming a janitor is the guy who helped him out, the doctor who helped him out and brought him into the university, ends up dying. And he ends up having a master stroke and heart attack, and but looks out for young Ephraim in another way. What he puts in his will is that all of his money, a large chunk of his fortune that this doctor has amassed, aside from what's going to his own family, the bulk of his fortune goes back into the university, but only if the superintendent ensures that young Ephraim, which is the name that was given to him by the doctor, Ephraim Clark. I forgot to mention that Ephraim Clark was a name given to him by the doctor at the university that passed away. That name was given to him by that doctor. Nobody knows his name is Rummy. Rummy was a name given to him by the bartender, and when he's younger, he's simply known as Rummy. His mother never even bothered to give him a last name. He's not in the system. All anybody ever knows him by is Rummy. That's the reason why he's so hardcore. So anyway, Rummy gets knocked over. Recap: Rummy gets knocked over head, has amnesia. Doctor brings him into the university as his assistant, helps him rebuild helps young Ephraim / AKA Rummy, who doesn't know he's Rummy, rebuild his life. Starts living a decent life, but the superintendent doesn't like him. Doctor dies. Okay, when the doctor dies, leaves on his will that a huge chunk of money will go to the university, but only if they give young Ephraim a job and make sure young Ephraim is taken care of. Now, young Ephraim wants to go to school, but the superintendent knows this, but won't allow it to happen. So rather than allow him to enter school, he does give him a job, but gives him a job at the lowest, what he considers the lowest and most demeaning portion for a kid who actually has skills with medical skills. He makes him a superintendent, a janitor, a guy who mops the floors, scrubs the walls, and cleans the place up. Okay, Ephraim gladly takes a job because he has no idea or anything else to do. Doesn't have anything else to do, or so doesn't have anywhere else to go. So he takes the job. Now, something happens though. Okay, his job is to take care of during the story. His job is to take care of not only to clean the place, but also take care of the bodies. These cadavers that are brought in for the young students who are going to school to dissect and carve up. Well, what happens is a prostitute, a dead prostitute who's who's stabbed multiple times comes in. This prostitute that comes in, it starts to jar a memory. He starts to remember things. Now, what he starts to do as a result was he still has the Ephraim side of his personality, but all of a sudden that Rummy side starts to come back. So now he's obsessed with carving up bodies. So he decides he's going to try to carve up a body. Almost gets in trouble with the superintendent for doing so because he's not a medical student, so he can't carve up bodies. So what does he do? He goes out and he finds prostitutes in the street and starts dissecting them, carving them up, and stealing body parts. Wink again. Does it sound like a where you get the idea where I'm going with this guy? Right? Now, unfortunately for him, also what's going on, there is a contributor, a financial contributor to the university of some wealth. Now, what nobody knows is that this financial contributor of some wealth is secretly one of the condemned. He is in a vampire form. And this contributor also has an assistant, and her name is Delilah. She is a remnant, a servant of this vampire. Okay? Delilah starts to become infatuated, or starts to become obsessed over Rummy slash Ephraim. Okay? So she starts to form some kind of attachment. Superintendent tries to put a stop to it, but their connection starts to draw closer, and she becomes infatuated with young Rummy slash Ephraim. Again, nobody knows he's Rummy yet. They only know as Ephraim. However, because they get closer and closer, he finally opens up to Delilah and lets Delilah know the secret of his past. Delilah becomes even more infatuated. Mind you, remember, she works for the bad guys. She's a baddie. She becomes even more obsessed with him because she is a revenant. She goes to her master, the vampire, and asks the vampire if young Ephraim can become now she knows as a Rummy can become part of his pack. The vampire doesn't like the idea, and doesn't really want him. Right? It's kind of got the same attitude that the superintendent doesn't like what this young upstart, doesn't have any desire for him, and thinks he's going to bring nothing but trouble. But Delilah doesn't give up. She doesn't want to lose her new toy. So what Delilah does, she gives Rummy a gift. I keep calling him Rummy. I'm sorry. She gives Rummy a gift. Because I was actually thinking about calling him Rummy, but I changed that and changed it to Rummy. Because rum, get it, alcohol, stuff like that. She gives Rummy a gift, a silver dagger. Silver dagger. Again, we'll hit where this is going. Again, this is not going to be this is only a backstory. You're only going to know this. I might do a little ash can book showing all this. You know what I mean? But it's a side story. It's not actually going to be part, but it gives you a psychological idea where Rummy came from, why he is what he is, and how he became what he is in the story, and where he ends up, and how he when him and Callan end up meeting, or him and Temple end up meeting, and what Temple has to do to stop this guy, because he's a fanatic. He's a nutcase. He is really, really bad. A murderer, a mass murderer. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Delilah gives Rummy a silver dagger, and then sends one of their foot soldiers, a werewolf, out to attack Rummy. Now, she knows one of only two things can happen, and she's confident that Rummy can take care of himself, growing up in the streets and being a savage fighter. And at one point in this London gang, he is actually their go-to guy for taking out that gang's competition. They send him out to kill their competition, to hurt their competition. So anyway, she's confident what Rummy can do, so she ends up sending this werewolf out after Rummy. And sure enough, Rummy is able to defend himself against, using the silver dagger, defending himself against this werewolf. But in the process does get bitten, which is exactly what Delilah wants to happen. Now all of a sudden, Rummy is a part of this gang, of this vampire's army, one of his minions. He is now a servant to this vampire and to Rummy, and is now a foot soldier, a werewolf. Now, he was silently doing these murders. I might as well tell you, Jack the Ripper. That's where I'm going with this. It's Jack the Ripper. So anyway, he is all of a sudden, because he is a werewolf and he's part of this vampire, he's forbidden by the vampire to continue his lust for killing and taking parts of these prostitutes, because he doesn't want to bring light. He doesn't want to be in light. He wants to, like most of these vampires, they want to control things from the dark. They don't want the mass public to know what they are, that they even exist. It's part of my overall story. So what do you guys think? How do you guys like that idea for Rummy? Ephraim Clark is his name. Born with the name Rummy, given the name Ephraim Clark by the guy who saved him, this doctor. And I probably might actually give the doctor a name. I don't feel need to right now, because the truth is again, this Rummy is going to be in the book. Delilah, the reason why I've given her a name, because Delilah is going to show up in the book even later. And I'm not so sure I'm going to give the vampire a name, because the vampire is later on in the story. You come to find out why Delilah and Rummy show up again and is prominent in Temple's life, is because Rummy starts to murder again. The reason why Rummy starts to murder again is because the vampire that was their master was killed by Ibrahim, the Temple, previous to Callan. So anyway, that being said, let's get started on the artwork, shall we? See what you guys think. Let me switch my screen over here again. Boom! Yeah. There we go. Now, I have, I believe, started some... Boom. Yeah, there we go. Little background music. Told you guys we was going to try to figure out a way to make music. Now, all this music, again, so YouTube knows, is made through GarageBand. I made it myself, so no copyright strikes here, baby. Yeah. How you like that slow jam? Nice. So let me get started here. So I kind of image Rummy. He's going to be a ruffian, and he's going to have a scar. I think he should have a scar on his face from when he was hit over the head. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. I got some people knocking at my door. Give me one moment. I'm going to have to pause this bad boy. Again, I do apologize. Give me one moment. Gang, I am back once again. I'm working on this character called Rummy. He is one of the baddies in my story. Don't want to go over the whole line again, but we're just going to sit here and do some artwork and try to get you guys into what's going on. Okay, so again, Rummy's kind of going to be a bruiser. So I figure him for I don't know, big neck. Now, when Rummy was found by Delilah, yeah, I figure he was born in 1866. 1867, somewhere around there, and that was when he was into his rampaging, or to say he was on the streets when he was 13, right? So he was on the streets when he was 13. A character that was on the streets when he was 13. So let's do some simple math. He was on the streets at 13. And then probably got knocked out a couple years in. Got a nice 3 years to get really into the gang life that he was living. So figured that about 17, right? 17, 18. Then he got knocked over the head in that gang fight. Lost his memory. He was found by the doctor. The doctor helped him helped him rebuild his life, helped him become somebody better. Right? So figure a couple years, a year, 2 years for that. Right? So that's about 18, 19. Now the doctor dies after a couple years, you know, forms this friendship in with the family and so forth. And then after the doctor dies, he you know, suffers being put back into what's considered a humiliating job by the superintendent of this prestigious university that he wishes he could attend, but is not being allowed to. Should I give this guy maybe a goatee or some kind of facial hair? I've been doing goatees and facial hair a lot. I mean, Callan's got a facial hair, and I know Ibrahim, when I draw him, he's going to have facial hair, right? So everybody has to have facial hair. I think I draw facial hair because, one, it's easy to cover up facial stuff, and well, heck, look at me, I got facial hair. So anyway, but again, we're just trying to figure out what we're going to make this guy Rummy look like. I'm just throwing ideas out here, just giving some notions here. And it's only been a half hour. Good. I like to try to keep my videos about an hour long. So now these are my pre-records. These are not my live streams. I'm going to be doing live stream videos as well. But now, when Callan meets Rummy, this is going to be, you know, 120, 130 years. I mean, because he meets Rummy. Actually, my story, so you understand what's going on in the story, because there's a lot of stuff that takes place, and there's going to be time-oriented stuff in my story. So the story of when Callan actually takes over as Temple is going to be roughly back in early 2000. So it's kind of put back a little bit, and that's where the first Solomon's Temple is actually going to take place. It's going to be taking back. The story's actually that story part of the story is actually going to be taking place back in 2001, 2002, 2003 time frame. So anyway, as I imagine, Rummy is going to have dark eyes. Kind of the opposite, exact opposite to his to Callan. Callan's got blue eyes. Not that all brown-eyed or dark-eyed people are baddies. I'm not saying that. It's just that I'm trying to image him as a contrast to Temple. So anyway, again, going back to the story when Delilah, you know, the doctor dies and Delilah is actually going to meet Rummy, or Ephraim at that point is what she knows him at, while the doctor's still alive. But that's when the slight obsession, it's a closet obsession at that point, starts to take place, right? And again, this is a rough drawing. I'm just trying to figure out what I want this character to look, and I'm imagining him with a big brooding brow. But he's also got to be kind of ruggedly handsome, so yeah, I'm not really feeling this one. So yeah, not feeling this one at all. So kind of looks like just a bruiser here. Right. Why am I still working on this? I want to try to build something. I'm trying to figure out what I want this guy to look like. Alright? And I'm trying to do it in this show, so I got to figure out how I'm going to fit all this into this show, this particular episode. But anyway, so back to what we were saying about Rummy / Ephraim Clark. Rummy when actually he's only going to be going by Rummy when the Ephraim Clark persona kind of dies off. You know what I mean? Because Ephraim Clark is back in the 1800s, so he just goes by his normal name Rummy, no last name, just Rummy, and he goes back to, you know, that's what everybody kind of knows him in the bad guy group as, Rummy. We're gonna go ahead and pull this one out because I'm not feeling this one. Alright, but I am going to keep this because this is kind of going to be, make sure I stay away from that look of that character, because I don't feel the happiness of the love I feel when I have something good rolling on here. So, where are we going with this? Okay, so again, when a werewolf is, when a man is converted to a wolf, his aging style process, like on the in my story, like with the Revenant, their aging process stops, and one of the reasons why is essentially what's human in them might still exist, but it's dead. That person dies. They've accepted the curse, and they become one of the baddies. Okay. Again, in my story, you have a choice. Basically, you have, the only person who doesn't have a choice are the condemned. And the condemned, the reason why they don't have a choice is they already made their choice. They made their choice long before mankind, or in the early stages of mankind, and that choice put them on the wrong side of God. And as a result, God condemned them to earth to live as a human, living the life of as a human, as a member of Fallen. Remember, the condemned have three stages in their life. Stage one for them is stage one is the fallen. Okay, that's stage one. Stage one is the fallen. They live life as a human, but are forced to be reborn every time they die, never knowing what they truly are, never knowing the truth of their existence. They're just reborn and live repeatedly over and over and over and over, living the life with the trappings and the pains of mortality, and living a life with the pains and trappings of a man or a woman, of living as a human. Then you have the second stage. The second stage of a condemned is once again going to be a vampire, and that's when these beings wake up. The fallen, when all of a sudden something happens, some kind of tragedy or something befalls them, and suddenly a spark of one of their previous lives starts to come into their head, and they start to remember something, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this seems like this happened to me," and they remember. All of a sudden, they start to remember a previous life, and if it continues, and they start to and you know, for some of it might be just a feeling of deja vu, but for others, it's like, no, I know this happened to me, and all of a sudden they start thinking about a previous life, and all of a sudden they start remembering things, and start remembering more, and they legitimately start to remember all these previous lives, and it's like a cascading effect. But the problem is, it's also very painful for them, because as they get closer and closer to the very beginning, where they remember what they truly are, and why they're living this life, and what God did to them, suddenly a spark ignites inside of them, and that spark that ignites inside of them starts to consume their life force, starts to consume the life force of the body that they're living in, the vessel they're living in. And the only way they can that body doesn't become a dried up husk is the life force. What I mean by life force is the blood, because according to the Bible, I'm taking this from the verse of the Bible, our blood is very sacred. It's one of the things when Cain killed Abel, one of the curses was that he spilled human blood on earth, and it was a sacred. Our human blood is very sacred according to God. So the life force that makes us live is the blood within our body. So this thing and the spark from what they former were starts to consume the blood of their own body, and if they don't consume other people's blood, then they themselves start to become a dried up husk and start to deform and basically will become a shell unless they start to consume blood, which makes them a vampire. And that's how they live. They consume the blood of others. Now the vampire is the second stage of living. Now what happens is a vampire is very hard to kill, just like in any other story, but it's not by a wooden stake. They are affected by crucifixes and other religious symbols, but they got to be held by a true believer, somebody who truly believes in God and believes in the symbol that they're holding in their hand. And they are affected. They're not affected like it'll hold them at bay for a short period of time. Okay, it does have a slight effect on them. Okay, but they can be killed. It's very hard to do so. Wooden stake through the heart won't kill them. Wooden stake, well, actually anything through the heart can and will kill them. I'm sorry. And a sharp object through the head or removing their head, cutting their head off, will kill them. Okay, but you better make sure you aim for the heart. Okay, it's not a wooden stake. It's anything that penetrates the heart. So you have like a metal shard and you stab them through the heart. As long as it's just through the heart, it will kill them. But it has to be through the heart. It has to be a life-threatening wound, for like it would be for a human, because that stops their blood, from the blood that they're consuming, from pumping through them, and it will kill them. It just kills them, removing the head or anything through the heart. Silver does have an effect on them. It slows them down. It's very painful for them. The most effective way of wounding them or hurting them tremendously is using a silver blade, silver bullets. Anything of that nature will affect a vampire. Okay, won't kill them unless it goes through the heart again or goes through the head, destroys their brain. Then we have what happens to a vampire, one of these beings, when they're killed. That is the third stage of their existence. That's when they become a member of the Forsaken. The Forsaken, now what they are at that point is they're a demonic species. They're a demonic spirit that roams the planet freely, and they're not very powerful. They don't have much in the way. They are able to affect the physical, depending on how powerful they are when they were a vampire. Determines on how much they have an effect on the physical plane and the physical world, but they don't have a whole lot of presence there. And when they do, you try to use it as in their spirit form, it kind of, I guess you say, weakens them, and so they don't, and then they have to disappear for a little bit, try to recoup their strength, re-energize themselves, and then they come back and have an effect and have some kind of effect on the physical plane. But the way they become really powerful is by possession. When they possess a human, they become really powerful because they start feeding off of that life force of that human. They start feeding off of the essence of that human. However, there's a catch to that. Unlike when they were living in their own body, they drinking in the blood of someone else in the body that they're possessing will have no effect on them, because that body doesn't have the ability to rejuvenate from drinking blood. So no matter what, eventually possessing a person will kill the person that they possessed. Okay, so in killing the person that they possessed, and again I'm going off a wild tangent. I know we're supposed to be drawing this character here, but I figured I'd give you guys a little rundown on what's going on here. So possession of a Forsaken possessing another human will kill the human that they possessed. Okay, so in order to save that person that's being possessed, the only way to get them out is by performing an exorcism. And that exorcism can be performed by a priest or another holy man. Okay, but like in the other popular lore, you have to be careful when extracting or exorcising that demonic spirit, because what happens if you do exorcise that demonic spirit? Now it's a free roaming spirit. It can do what? It can possess the person that perform the exorcism, so you have to be careful when performing the exorcism. But it has to be done. That's the reason why it has to be done by a priest or a holy man, because they have the ability to resist that temptation, or resist the ability to resist being possessed. Okay. So anyway, so that's the 3 stages of existence for the condemned. I'll write that down here. There's the 3. We have the condemned. First stage, the fallen. Second stage, the vampire. Then third stage is the forsaken. Okay? And I wasted a whole piece of paper for that. But hey, it's okay. I got a whole tablet here. And I am actually just delaying time because I am not having a good drawing session here. So anyway, so what are we going to do? I'm trying to think how I want this guy to look. How are we going to make Rummy look? Eraser. There we go. There we go. I drew a picture of one of the Forsaken it, and I toyed around with the idea before. And you can see the post on my Instagram. If you take a look at the bottom, there's a tip jar if you'd like to tip and help me out and make it so that I can make these programs better. I appreciate it greatly. Just go to that PayPal account and go ahead and tip me, and I appreciate it. Again, it would help me out tremendously in trying to make a better program and also make a better product for everybody. As I said, I would like to make t-shirt, mugs, and stuff like that with my artwork. So any help would be greatly appreciated. But then if you look down below that, I have my Instagram pages. I have a Force One Studios page where I'm only going to be putting up, mostly, I did put up a Batman recently. I do apologize, but that was a one-time deal. I was really just tickled pink about how that Batman turned out. But usually it's only going to be my intellectual property. I say most, 99.999% of the time, the stuff that you're going to see on my Force One Studios is my intellectual property. Only my characters, only my ideas are going to be on that. Then I have my other pages, my Thomas H. Lilly 3. That is my Instagram page for when I'm drawing Batman, Aquaman, Superman, Spider-Man, all that stuff, and also my personal life. You're going to see some pictures of me, my family, stuff like that, special events. I haven't posted a whole lot on there recently. You're going to see more show up on there. I promise. I have to get more stuff up on my Instagram feeds and stuff like that. But then also, if you look over there, you see my Twitter account. I do have a Force One Studios Twitter account, and I am going to I am starting to put more stuff up there, trying to get more interactive with people in it. And then also down below that is my Facebook page. You see me on there. I am on Facebook. I do have a Facebook business page. It is connected to my Instagram Force One Studios page. I try to keep it all connected so I can keep this wonderful deal going. And I am just breaking out layouts, just trying to figure out how I want this big mug to look. And a lot of times I like to, I come up with a psychological theme for the character. Should I keep the nose smaller, just a bigger jaw? Give him just made a big jaw. He's supposed to be an intellectual type too, though. I mean, because he's not stupid. Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why the doc brought him in on the story, in my story. One of the reasons why the doc brought him in, because he's not supposed to be a dumb lug, but he is brawny. I guess you say smart muscle man. that either. No, not feeling that one either. It's not doing it for me. Let's try something else. Let's move to a different section of the page. I don't want to keep wasting my paper like this. We'll go to a different section of the page. That's not working for me. So you guys can see this a little better. Paper. It's a good thing I attached this this camera here to my little section of the art table, because my art table is like moving all over on me. I got this little setup here. It's like a little tiny easel thing my family got for me for Father's Day a long time ago, and I have it set up on my art table because I have this bookshelf and my toolbox where I keep all my art supplies in. It's an Ultra HD Seville Classic toolbox sitting on top of my stand. You know what? That'd be too light and airy with this guy. Why? He's supposed to be villainous, right? Make him look like a villain. I don't want to look like a low-life thug either, because I mean, though he had this low-life thug, he's matured out of that. You know what I mean? When he was a kid. But he had to have you gotta remember, he had to have a look that, you know, that a professor at a prestigious university would want to help this guy. That has, oh, come on. There we go. This doctor at a prestigious university would want to help. I think I'm getting a feel for this guy. You know, you look like a thug. Nobody wants to help you. Let's be for real. We live in a real world. Nobody wants to help thugs. The general populace, people of higher stature, you know, they want to believe that there's the fruits of their labor are going to work out for them. So and the truth, unfortunate reality of the world is, we live in a world where your first impression that you're going to leave on any person is going to be visual. So if you look like you're going to be a criminal, if you look like you're going to be a problem or a nuisance, people of higher stature, or I should say not higher stature, that's a really wrong and ignorant way to say it, but people of higher class, higher standing in life are less likely to want to help you. Nope. I think somebody. Oh. Alright. There's my son. Give me 1 minute. So I've given him a scar right there. Thinner, chunked in thinner in the face, but a softer look, right? Because Delilah's going to be kind of a looker, so he's going to have to appeal to her in some nature. And when he meets her, she's going to be upper standing and upper. You know what I mean? This is going to be the 1800s. This is not when he first meets her. This is not like it is today. So class meant a lot back then. I mean, it means a lot to some people today. Let's be for real. I mean, you look at me. I look like a biker, and as a result, a lot of people look at me kind of differently. But then once they get to know me and start to talk to me, and they realize I'm really a nice guy. I may look like a bear, but I'm a teddy bear. So, what do you guys think of that? It might be an idea for a face. That might be a way to go. That might be a way to go. I might want to stick that idea right there. And I mean, he can still be brawny. Because he's supposed to be. Build off that neck, build a neck off of that. Widen the jaw a little bit. Now the reason why it seems like I'm all over the place with this guy right now is because I am literally drawing him first time. The only thing I did was write some of the story I was telling you about the guy, trying to build a psychological profile of this guy. So, pull out my little pens here. Let me see if I can do something with this. Yeah, I'm gonna use my Copics. I have never used my Copics brush pen on this paper. So this is me trying something new for the first time in front of you guys. Well, actually not for the first time, because I don't know if I posted that video. I did it on Instagram. I did this thing where I tried using this gouache. Oh my god, it was a nightmare. I hadn't used gouache in 25 years. And oh my god, it was horrible. It looked bad. The image really looked bad. I actually threw the image out. I was like, or the picture, I was like, I was drawing. It was the first time I actually started drawing Asia. Remember when I talked about Asia, she's the scribe for the I'm not really feeling this image again. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I gotta tighten this up. There's some attributes here I like. No, you know, a lot of stuff I'm not liking. Of course, mind you, I haven't done any serious drawing. I did that sketchbook, that thing in a sketchbook, and I was working a little bit at a time here and there of that color image of that female while at work. So, kicking off the rust. You're saying, Rust, how could you be rusty? Man, let me tell you something. If you don't draw for a week, you can get rusty. You can get rusty. And despite what some people say, like, I mean, Elliot, Elliot Fernandez, again, you check him out on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, and all that. Also known as the Jerkmonger. And he says, drawing for him is like breathing. He cannot stop. He has to find a way to do it. And I agree with him to a certain extent, but I also have to be able to take care of my family. I also have to, obligations I have to do. So I gotta figure out how to fit all it in. Sometimes what sustains me gets pushed to the side for others. That's one of my quirks of my personality, is I'm definitely a giver. 100% a giver. I sacrifice things I like for myself so that I can please others. It's okay. It's kind of very, 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 very I wouldn't say amateurish. I mean, just God. So you can wonder why this is happening. What's going on is I took this little piece of thing here and I put tape on it to try to give my little bit of a lip on this thing, on the surface, because this whole thing keeps falling down, but the tape that I put on here is not holding. It's just not doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back up here, clip it, because what I was doing is not working. So we're going to clip that right there, and I'll just move the camera. I try to be careful where I move the camera too, because I also have my mic here. And one time I was doing the video, wasn't paying attention, and the mic was right over the camera. You guys don't never see that video because I threw that video out. I'm a perfectionist. That's the other part of my personality, is I have a slight case of OCD. Yes, I do quirky things. One of my quirky things, I have to fight temptation all the time. My wife, my kids say I lock the doors no matter what. I leave her going in and out of the house. I have a habit of always wanting to lock the doors. And there is the other quirk to that personality trait is if I haven't locked the door, or even if I have locked the door, when I leave the house, I do this strange thing where I'll go down the block and I have to fight the urge. I used to, at one point I was not able to fight it. I turn around, come back. I had to leave work early all the time for this, because I would turn around, come back to the house, check to make sure the door was locked, and then get back in my car and then leave. And it was one time I actually did it 3 times. I actually left the house, drove down the street. Did I check it? No. Go back to the house, check the door. I locked it. Okay, get back in my car. Drove down the street. I'm not sure. Did I check it right? And I go drive back to the house, check the door again. And I did that 3 times. I was like, this is insane. What is wrong with me? And I had to try to. So at that point, I realized I have to try to fight this. I have to try to fight this, because you can't let this control my life. And then I've always defeated the quirks in my personality, the things that I know are wrong, is I acknowledge them. I make sure I acknowledge what this insane stuff. I'm like, this is insane. There's something wrong here, and I have to address it. And I think the first step to any healing in anything is to address the issue. If you address the issue, you can fix the issue. Like, another problem I have is I also suffer from depression. I'm not currently taking any drugs for it, any medication for it. It's because I've just heard so many horrible things about these medications, the antidepressants and stuff. And I was on Prozac. I think it was Prozac. I was on, or was it Paxil or something like that? I was on a medication for anxiety and depression, and it just made me feel like the whole world was moving at this pace, and I was just dragging. And it wasn't on a high dose either. It was a weird thing because they put me on a low dose of it. But it just, and it also had a very big effect on my artwork. I was not able to create or draw anything while I was on this stuff. It was messing me up. I think it actually hindered my creative. And I wonder, this when I started realizing that for me at least, my creative side hinges on my emotions. It's a feeling I'm feeling at the time. So I have to, be very aware. Because of that, I don't want to take medications. So I have to be very aware that this stuff is a problem for me. Like if I start having crazy or insane thoughts or stuff that like, oh, nobody loves me, I'm I suck, I'm no good, I can't get this done, I can't do it. And I do have those thoughts, and so every once in a very, very long while, I've trained my mind not to go there now. But it used to be I would have suicidal thoughts, but I realized a long time ago that the only way I'm going to beat this without medication is to first acknowledge that it's there and then fight through it. Sometimes you feel like you're walking through mud, feel like you're in quicksand, you're trying to push yourself through it, but I have to do it because I don't want medication. I don't want to but also, as a result, I also have to acknowledge that I have to bottle up some of my emotions because that stuff can also make you very emotional, and you don't want to take your anger, your hostility, from being depressed out on other people, especially when you're dealing with the public. So I have to always be very conscious of what I'm saying and how I'm acting towards people, because I want to be nice. I like people. I want to be happy. I want peaceful. I want peace and relaxation. I don't want anger. Anger's bad. Happiness good. Stupid as it sounds. Stupid as I sound saying it, but maybe not sound stupid, but that might be my insecurity and believe that I'm not entertaining enough. I sure as hell am talking a lot, so I gotta be entertaining value in somewhere in that, right? Of course, I could be putting you to sleep between the slow jam and my voice. You're probably sitting there going, this guy's so boring. Oh my God, be entertaining already! I'm trying. I really am. So, a little bit mussed up hair. I mean, it's not perfect. A lot of work. More work's going to need to go into this. And as I said, this is a very preliminary sketch. This is very rough. This is not, not professional for me. It doesn't look professional, but I'll get it there. When you guys see this stuff next, it'll be rocking. But as of right now, if I'm looking at this correctly, give me 1 moment. Yeah, I'm at 1 hour and 11 minutes. Wow. I went 11 minutes over the time I want. I think I'm going to have to set my timer on my phone. And that'll give me a time when I got to be get off of this. But anyway, so I hope you guys found this session enjoyable. Again, not the greatest of artwork that I've ever produced. But again, this is a very preliminary rough. I'm just trying to get the idea out there. But I was able to tell you the story of the very first villain or very first baddie, the werewolf, that Callan will be meeting in the upcoming graphic novel Solomon's Temple. Once again, thank you guys very much for joining me on the show today. Look forward to seeing you again. Hope you all have a pleasant day. Bye bye now.